Hello, my fellow YouTubers. This is Roy back again. I'm going to do some experiments. You see, I got some goodies on the table over there. I got that capacitor right there. What's going on, Jason? What's up, buddy? Back at it with the capacitance tonight. Just did a couple good experiments. I figured I'd show some people. And just give me a minute. Yeah, I like making vids, just showing people. A lot of this stuff was hard to learn on my own, and I think most of it is you don't know what to look for if you don't know what you're doing. But in this case, we are going to go into some details on this capacitance and how I see it and how we can use it or utilize it. So give me 1 second here, and guess I'll go ahead and just spin the wheel one more time. Now remember one thing I'm going to say here. I'm not making electricity. I'm just figuring out how to separate it and then have it come back at itself. So that's the key here. Remember that. We're not making electricity because electricity is abundant everywhere around us in its atom form. So we're not making electricity here, and I think that's the key thing here. I think that not only Ed was telling us that, but it just falls in line with we're not making it. We're just figuring out it's abundant all around us, and we're gonna learn how to separate it. And when we separate it, what are we really doing in separating it? We're building a difference in potential, so that yes, you're making a signal. So that difference in potential is what you're really doing. I mean, that's what Alexander Volta, Hertz, all the boys back in the 1820s, and Faraday in 1831 figured out that if you could make a magnet out of electricity, then pretty much you can make electricity out of a magnet. And it took from 1820 when Faraday first wrote the note, and it took till 1840 or 1831, I think, is when he actually made it happen as a note. Sidebar. But the key is he didn't make electricity. He just figured out how to separate it. So let's start off with this. I got these capacitors. I got these voltmeters. Now this one here, 29 volts, is connected to this one right here. So it's holding its voltage pretty good. It was charged up to 29 by turning the wheel. It's holding its voltage. Now this one here, the red one's hooked up to this one. We're going to call this the mother capacitor. Why are we going to call it the mother capacitor? Because it seems to be able to share without dumping its load. And we're going to go ahead and hook up the feeds to it. And we're going to see this voltmeter go up. Look, I went up to 39.9. And this is 29. So that lost some energy on its own. And this one's 39. And the wheel's not even turning anymore. So let's disconnect the power source to that. Look, now the capacitor is dumping. Now every time the capacitor dumps, watch this. We can just touch this once, and we're going to transfer the load. Bam, back up to 35. Now it's dumping its load. Now watch this. Back up to 35. It's losing its load. Now notice the capacitor that's up top. Now that's what we're feeding into this capacitor. We turned the wheel, we made a difference, we split apart the north and south energy, and we have it stored now in two different plates to here and two different plates up there. Let me get you off the stand. There we go. That's a little better. Well, welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight we're working on capacitance and how we're transferring energy. I got some cool things to show in regards to how this capacitor here was charged up from the wheel. This capacitor holds, this one doesn't, but this one does hold. Now check this out, how I say this. This voltmeter is hooked up to that DC capacitor. This voltmeter is hooked up to this capacitor. When this capacitor doesn't have any pressure on it, it dumps its load. See, it's 0. Now we're just going to go ahead and tap and watch what happens. So it's up to 38. Watch, I'll tap it again. 38 volts. Now let's get the top back up to 38. So what we're going to do here is connect, make sure everything's connected. So we need the top of that, which is running loose. I'm going to connect it here. So now we're up to 30. We're up to 29.9. And let's turn the wheel and let's go ahead and take magnets from the wheel, and we're going to put them into the iron, and the iron's going to release them through the coil, and then we're going to separate. So right now, wheel's turning good speed. We built it up to 68, 37 volts, 38 volts. You see them both. One thing I noticed, I mean, you get the wheel spinning, and it's with the iron reaction, it's got very little resistance. So here we go, 37 volts. I don't know, let the wheel stop. So basically, we got a good charge going here. So here's the next experiment we're going to do. So basically, we're going to come out of this capacitor, and we're going to go into a reed switch. All right. And then the other side of the reed switch, we're going to go into these 4.5 watt LEDs. We're going to put a load on it. LED, and what I'm going to do is come out of the LED and go into another LED. So we're going to do these LED in series. So the thing here is, we got one, go into this other one, and then we're going to come out of that. We'll just do 2 for now. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time, but there you go. So there's 2, and then this end will connect to the other part of that capacitor. Now we're going to look at the volts. We're at 35.5, 35.3, and we're going to take the reed switch. Now, one thing we notice that the wheel's not turning no more. We still got volts that are stored, and we got these lights here. So we're going to now activate the lights. All right, hold on. So there goes the light activation. So we dropped the volts down to 29, and that's 30, right? And we're going to go ahead, and you can see how bright the lights are there. Off the chain bright, right? Off the, probably blinding you guys. So now we're down to 17 volts on both of these. Key thing is here. So we're lessening the capacitance on both of these. Let's get this wheel back up now. So now we're going to move some bolts around. Now we're going to go ahead and so bright you can hear them ticking. Now we're looking at how the volts bounces right back up. Look at that. So I'm using the reed switch to dump these two capacitors. And what I'm trying to display to you guys is that this capacitor is getting the first initial feed into it, okay? And then coming out of that is going to that one. The key element here is that these capacitors have different capacitance. So this one's here is 4,7 microfarads at 16,000 volts, all right, DC. This capacitor there is 6,000 microfarads. So this one's got less microfarads, but it's a bigger oil can, and it has a good release. That's why it's dumping quick. So let's go back to here. We'll hold 19 on both. Why? Because this one is feeding off of that one. So this one up here now, we're going to disconnect from the bottom one so we could just have it by itself, and you'll see it when we go back down here. It'll start dumping. So has it dumped yet? So let's get this other top off of there. Kind of hard to do one hand. And that goes back over here. So let's go back to the voltmeters, 18.5 and 19. I don't know why. Yeah, I do. Let's pull this one off. Once I do that, you're going to see the red one drop down. So that's this capacitor just releasing right now on its own. Without even a load, it just dumps out. So Jason, if you know why this capacitor would dump like that, even if I put a dioid on it on either end, it still dumps. So here it dumped. Now, this one's holding 19. Now let's do this. Let's get the top to still have a feed. Let's make sure it still has a feed from the wheel itself. So here we go. So that's the positive. I'm going to go make sure it's still being fed. Then the negative side sitting here, that needs to go to this right here. This is the negative feed. All right, so that puts, when I turn the wheel, it'll come into the multiplier, come up, and feed that coil. Meanwhile, this coil, the red one, still has nothing in it. And we're sitting with 19 volts right now, or 19 volts on this upper one. So let's go ahead and turn the wheel lightly, right? Does it go up at all? Not really. Let's go ahead and add some speed to it. Add some speed to it. So what happens when I put the load on? Something's not hooked up right. So the load would be coming off of this. So what we have to do is we have to come off of that. You got to feed this one now. It gets a little harder because I'm working with one hand, and it's a lot easier when I'm doing experiments on my own. Here we go. That's not this one here. Comes off of that as a positive. Go up top. I'm going to touch that. All right. And then the negative. We're already connected. Here we go. So we're up to 31 volts, just turning slow. So there you go. So it just popped up. So now let's try to put the load on it and see what happens. Still not. So 31 volts is up top. This one here is not getting activated. Yeah, this is getting mind-boggling, I guess. Hold the camera. You have to figure out a better way to do videos to where I could kind of show that if you take one capacitor and fill it, so which this one here This one here is sitting up top, and then this one here has nothing in it. Now that one there that has nothing in it needs one more connection from that side. So if I touch this side, we should see the voltmeter jump up on the red. So we're up to 30. So there you go. So I'm just going to touch this occasionally. Now you see it dump. Now nothing happened here. So we're pulling the load from here, running into here. Watch this. So we're at 2 volts, drop it. Now I'm just going to touch this. Now we're back up to the volts. Let's bring it all the way up to 30. So we're matching. 30.7. We're feeding from the green voltmeter from that. And we're to this one, which is this. So now you can see that that voltmeter, 30.6, you would think that every time I touch this, that would dissipate because it's sharing into here. But what is going on here? So still at 30.5. There we go. So I'm just barely touching it. Now we're back up again. Barely touch it. 30.5 ain't moving. Let's tap it again. Let's tap it again. Let's let it drop. Let's tap it again. So I guess what I'm seeing here, and correct me if I'm wrong, that I have them both connected right now. We probably could fire this side up. We probably could definitely fire this side up. And now that I used up I put a load on, now check this out. That gets even cooler. Here's a pulse resistor. So what if we put a resistor in line with this stuff? What will happen? Cool stuff. The lights don't get so bright, and we don't use so much energy in the capacitance. Now watch this. So this is pretty neat. So we're going to come out of one of these. So we'll touch there's the resistor, and then let me grab one more end so we connect the resistor. Now, the reason I'm even trying resistance is because I have this resistance wire, and I was heating it up to see if I could make electricity. And when you heat the wire up, electricity appears on the voltmeter. So we'll get into that in another topic. But I was using resistor wire, and I have these pulse resistors. So let's go ahead now. We're going to get the wheel turning, so there's some separation going on, and then we're going to hold this up. Now watch the lights. The lights won't be so bright. All right, so you can see the 2 lights are dimmer. Now look at the voltmeter, 25.9, 26. So they're both at 26, holding strong, right? You got your separation going on. We're separating north and south pole, plain and simple, and we're storing them on either side plate. We're making a difference in potential on this guy and that guy up there. And now we're going to go ahead and give them a pathway. And right now we got with resistance in there, we're pulling less. The voltmeters are still staying pretty good at 21. Let's try another experiment. Let's get them back up. So 21, let's get some speed. So the whole thing is speed. It's the make and break. So now we're up to 33, 34 volts. That's pretty good volts, guys. 35 volts. You hit 36, 35. Good speed on the wheel. All right, so what are we going to do here now? That's pretty cool. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to take the resistance off, and we'll just hook the wire up directly. And now we'll see, watch the lights, and you'll see they'll get so bright it's sick. Watch. So bright. When I do that, look at the voltmeter while the wheel's turning. The red one's dropping to 16, the other one's dropping to 16. The wheel's slow, and we're draining everything right now. But we're still staying at 15 volts, and the wheel's moving slowly. Now you can see let's get a little bit more speed going, and let's do one thing. Let's switch the rotation. Not that it matters, but Makes it easier to pull. It's easier to pull than it is to push. So now we're pulling. Got them up to 30 volts. No load on right now. No load. So this is what I want to do this time. This time I don't want to dump that capacitor. I just want to dump this one. Since this one likes to dump, let's dump that into here. So we're going to come out of here. That's connected. We're going to come out of here, out of the end, and that's connected to here. So we're in this capacitor. Now, what don't we want connected? We don't want the top part connected. We want to just dump. Let me see if I can do this. We're going to dump. Bam. Still at 30 volts. Top's not connected anymore. And we're moving the wheel slow. Now let's still good power. Now you can see, all right. Something just happened. I don't know. So we dropped the volts down to 8. Let's get some, I think the reed switch was in a position where it was just on. Now we're back up to 27. Over here, we're still at 30. So it's this guy charging. Now we'll go ahead and dump. You can see there's a load. And right now the load is going. And we're maintaining 16, 17 volts. And we're not using that one at all. We're just using the one. You can still see the 30 volts is maintaining on the upper capacitor. Meanwhile, the bottom one's maintaining a 60 volt, 16. And you can see now we're starting to dissipate on our lights. So now we're not even going to turn the wheel. All right, now the wheel's not turning. So we don't have any pressure coming in. I guess I had to say the word. You know this. Pressure. It's all about pressure. So once you separate the north and south and create pressure, then you can have an ample amount of current. So right now we have this all by itself. That is sitting with 30 volts strong. This one here is sitting on 14 volts, and you can see it wanting to dissipate. Now, why isn't it dissipating on its own? I don't know. You would think it wants to just go bye-bye. So I guess I'm learning something now that before, when it's not hooked up to anything, it's dumping like a son of a bitch. But right now, it's still maintaining. Now, if I go ahead and watch this, if I go ahead and bring this up to a magnetic field, which closes the circuit, now you'll see a couple of things. You'll see lights go on, and you'll see that that's at what, 13.9? There's a light going on. We just dropped it down. Alrighty, so now what I want to do is I want to feed this from this circuit here. So let's go ahead and we're going to get that 12. It's going to balance itself out to that 29. Still holding, and it's supplying this now. The wheel's not turning. So we're still supporting. You can see them lights lighting up, right? You can see them lighting up. That's feeding off this red voltmeter, which is feeding off of this oil can. Now let's go ahead and touch that capacitor, this oil can. So we're at 22.7 volts on the green voltmeter, which is that capacitor. And let's go ahead and just touch it. Now what we did is we brought that back up in volts, and now that one dropped just a little bit. Let's go ahead and make a dump. Bam, you've seen that. Down to 15 volts. We're at 21 here. So let's do this. I'm going to connect this, which is that, and that is connected. That and that is now connected. Let's get that. Let's get the wheel turning. And we're going to build up volts on both of these voltmeters. Not bad, huh? 38 volts. Wheel's got a smooth turn about itself. Now let's go ahead and disconnect this upper capacitor. All right. So the upper one now is disconnected. Okay, so let's see if we see any change. 38 there, 38 there. Let's go ahead and close the circuit. Watch your eye. Okay, and you can see we're sitting down at 22. We're still at 37, almost 38 volts. Let's dump these down. 16 volts maintaining, lights are staying on, only because the wheels turn. You allow the wheel to slow down to turn off. This voltmeter, which is this capacitor, is down to 16 volts. And you can see the lights are very dim, but they're on, flashing. So what we're going to do is take that capacitor, which is sitting at 37.2, versus this 15, and we're just going to touch it. And then we're just going to look at that voltmeter. We're at 33, at 33. So we brought the volts up. Now watch how bright the lights are. You can see very bright. And we knocked the volts down, and we're still at 33.7. Now we're going to go ahead and just pulse this capacitor. And well, I guess I didn't touch it. We're going to go ahead and pulse this capacitor. Now that one's back up to 30, just like that one. And we're going to go ahead and put the load on to see how bright. So we're dumping the load in this capacitor. And this capacitor is down to 15 volts. I can light something else with it. You can see they're dim. And now we're going to take this one, still maintaining 31.1 volts, and we're going to charge. We're going to charge this one from that one. And you can look at the meters. Watch the meters. So we just dropped everything down. Now we can go back and we can dump. Pretty interesting stuff, because basically the wheel's not even turning. What we did was we separated the north and south. We got them in pressure-built situations here. This is a lot of pressure built in there. And how you can tell the pressures, you would do this. You got 6,000 microfarads, and you got 50 volts here, okay? So if I bring the volts up to 28, let's just say. Now that voltmeter is for that. So let's get the volts up. I'm just going to make a point here. So that voltmeter, let's just speed up. Let's get it up to 40 at least. Huh. Not bad. Didn't even have it connected. Now it's going up. That would have been way past 40. I can't grab that. So 37.7. Hello, William, in the house. So I could have got 40, no big deal. But 40 volts would be 90%. So 90% of this capacitor being filled is a lot of pressure. It's 90% filled. So that pressure you build up in that capacitor, which is enormous, a lot of pressure in there. So we're sitting at 37 right now. So we're at 73% capacity used up. And that's what Tesla always said. You want to leave 30% so you don't blow your capacitors out. And I guess you can fluctuate your percentage on how, when you bring time into it, meaning surface area, how much surface area is in that capacitor versus this one. So here we are. That's at 36. That's at 36. And let the load on. And you can see that the load, some real bright. That's 9 watts right there. We knocked this one down to 17. That one's at 17. Oh, I kept them together. I didn't separate those two capacitors. So let's get this going again. Then we'll have to separate it, because this is pretty cool stuff. So now I'll probably be able to get it up to 40 volts. You got to be kidding me. 39.9? Wheels running smooth. Look at that thing. You can hear it. All right, 39.5. We'll disconnect the top one now. All right, so we're going to go ahead and dump the load over here. That's going to be this capacitor dumping, and that one's not. You see that? So right now the lights are on bright. We're dumping the one to the right. So still maintaining 16 volts, got bright lights, the wheel's moving fast, the reason. So we'll let the wheel slow down to where it stopped, and basically all we're dealing with from there is the storage that's in that capacitor, the pressure. Remember what I just said, 6,000 microfarads of surface area, 50 volts is the max, 65 surge. So there's a variance going on there. We say 50 volts. So we're 38% filled. So out of 50. So we're not 38% filled. We're more like 75% filled. A lot of pressure in there. So we got the voltmeter down for this capacitor. We'll go ahead and dump the rest of that capacitor, which is dumping the 14, and this is still sitting at 37, a lot of pressure in that capacitor. So all we're going to do here is we're going to touch it once. All right, you heard that snap. Now we brought that up to 22. That dropped down a little bit. We'll do it one more time. For some reason that snapped. You know why that snapped? Oh, you know why it snapped? It's a damn reed switch stuck on. So we'll do it again. Interesting. There we go. So they're both at this 23 and that's 34. You see them dumping it right now. Drop that one down, and that one is still at 35. So we're going to come back over here. We're going to charge up the other plate, the other capacitor. So that capacitor is charging that capacitor. There's what's in that capacitor, 31 volts now. Brought it up to almost the 32 volts. So the volts are sitting here. We separated it. And now I'm going to close the circuit. You can see that bright light. Dump that one. That one's still sitting at 32. Now I'm going to come back over here. We're going to touch it. All right. Well, the thing is now, all right, I'm going to connect those to my field windings. I'm going to tell you what happens. It dumps the whole thing, but let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to disconnect all these LEDs, all right? So come out of the LED, and we're going to go into the field winding. Well, hold on now. Now remember, the reason I'm getting this voltage build up is because these two are connected together. So I literally need a third winding, so I'm not undoing these. Because the voltage drops in half. Whatever I'm producing drops in half the minute I disconnect these four. So I'm not going to do that because we'll be back to too many wires. I'm holding the phone. But what I will do is on my next video, I'll have the third winding set up, okay? So this way we can dump into that. But when I dump into, if I disconnect this and just dump into one, there's so much iron that it absorbs the load like it doesn't do anything. So that means there's more continuing learning that I have to do with I learned how to separate the north and south. So now it's about knowing how much pressure I can keep in a capacitor like this one. So if this one, we're going to have the wheel turning. So when the wheel's turning, it will keep the pressure up in the master capacitor. But on the dump capacitor, which is this one, which is 4,7 microfarads. So I think it's 4,700 microfarads. I'm not sure. 4,7 microfarads. It wouldn't be 4.7, it's 4 comma. Use a comma, there's got to be some more zeros in there. So 4,700 microfarads, which is 4,700 microfarads is a lot of nanofarads, a lot of beer bottles. I think there's, I'm going to go back and do the numbers, but there's so many picofarads in a nanofarad, so many nanofarads in a microfarad. So, which is not a lot of capacitance, guys. It's just very little. So you have to build up your capacitance. But we already see that we can use one as a master, and we can dump into the other. So if I'm not going to go into these lights, let's bypass the lights. So we're out of the lights right now, and the lights are all gone. And what we still have is capacitors with separation, right? I'm going to dump those. Got separation on them. So let me see what I can do here. Now, I think if I go back into that one there, while it's still hooked up, that we void out everything. But I guess it might be worth a shot to see if I come out of this and if I dump it back into the system. We'll see if any voltmeters start going up, or what I would think is gonna void out everything, short circuit it. So we're gonna go into this one, and then we need the red one, which I'll take out of here, and then we're gonna go into this one. We'll go into this. All right, so just have to see the wheel turn. That would be good. All right, so let's move the wheel. I don't see anything going on. So how about if we do this? How about if we take one?
Let me know if I get everybody back here. I had to plug in, my power went out. All right. All righty, nice they're back. Yeah, I had to because I lost power. And then while I was charging the phone, I connected that reed switch. Remember, I was going to connect it back into the system without disconnecting anything? Wait till you see what happens to the voltmeter. It gets put back in the system. Oh my Lord. Give it 1 second, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the wheel, get on the voltmeter. We'll see what's on there, and we're going to see the voltmeter go up. All right, here we go. So, guess I'll take you off of that. Now check this out. Now this capacitor is that one, right? I mean, that voltmeter is connected to that capacitor. So let's go ahead and start turning the wheel, and we're going to put a little bit more charge into that pressure. Now notice how fast I have to turn the wheel to get the pressure up, right? Now watch this. We're going to put as soon as we put the reed switch, the voltmeter's going up. Look, disconnect the reed switch. The voltmeter's to 28. Put the reed switch up. The volts go up. So we're throwing volts back into, from the capacitor, back into the circuitry. And you can see the volts go up. Let's get this going again. I got to see what's going on. So right now I'm at 27.9 volts. Watch as soon as I bring this up. I don't understand. So it brings the volts up. So it's allowing voltage to come from this capacitor, or actually that capacitor. Let me see what's going on with that capacitor. Where is that stuff going? Let's make sure it's connected over here, because I'm not sure it even is. Oh, shit, you see that? That fucking hurt. So we dumped out that capacitor. Dead short of that sucker. Did you see that spark come out in my hand? I got too many wires going on right here. Let me walk through this real quick. See what's happening. We got this, we got that. Well, whatever I did, it threw the volts back out of the capacitor into the PMH, and it made the voltmeter go up. So I'm going to have to do some investigating, not filming, and see what the ditty is on that. All right, you guys. Sorry about losing my power again. It just is what it is. What's up, Adam, in the house? Well, you guys leave your comments. Hopefully you enjoyed. Just got the notification. Just ready to bounce off of this. Always late. No, you're not. Better late than never. All righty, you guys.